Okay, so let's go ahead and see. We've got 2 more seconds. Let's open up those results. All right, so we have consensus on 3 items for keep and trade. So all of us would keep the Reese's, the Kit Kat, and almost all the York. I'm on the York team too. And for trade, all of us would trade the Twizzlers. I break from the group here. I enjoy a good Twizzlers at the movie theater. And then 3 out of 4 would trade Almond Joys, and 3 out of 4 would trade their Starbursts. And we are a split group when it comes to Smarties. Some of us like that pure sugar fix, and some of us do not. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get down to business. Now, first off, since we only have a couple people, just go ahead and put that into the chat. Let me know if you are your level of experience with Lucid. 1, you're brand new. 5, you're a pro. Now, I'm seeing some familiar names in the chat, so I'm thinking the majority of us have had some experience, but I just want to know if I should cover some of the basics at the beginning. So I'll give everybody about 30 seconds to write. We got a 1, a 4, a 3. Okay, perfect. All right, so since we do have a 1, I'm going to just quickly do an overview of what Lucid is so that you know where it is, how to find it. And then the majority of this session, we're going to be focusing on a lot of specific use cases, ideas, templates for business courses specifically. So those of you who have been in my trainings before, you have seen this lovely image before. So essentially, Lucid for Education is a suite of instructional tools that you have access to inside of Canvas. Or if you have a site-wide, or you can go straight to lucid.app. Now, this gives you both Lucid Spark, our collaborative virtual whiteboard, think Jamboard, think any other whiteboard you've been on digitally. And Lucid Chart is our interactive diagramming tool. So when we think Lucid Spark, we think red star. The red star shows we're in Lucid Spark, and we think collaboration, 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 getting students all in one board for brainstorming, for writing or annotating directly onto the canvas, for pushing out response prompt questions, and seeing everybody adding their ideas to the board in real time. And then Lucid Chart has a more robust tool set, better suited for that more intelligent diagramming, process mapping, procedure mapping, flow charting. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some specific examples related to business for Lucid Spark and Lucid Chart. And then at the end, I will go ahead and show you how can you get these ideas into Canvas, either as a collaborative document inside of Canvas or as an assignment pushed out to Canvas. Or if there's anybody not using Canvas, please put that in the chat and I will show you how you can send things out using links or force copy links. So moving on, when we're thinking, the first tool we're going to talk about is Lucid Spark. And like we talked about, Lucid Spark is perfectly suited for collaboration. So let's go ahead and look at a couple business specific examples. So this first example is anytime you want to get your students together, either in a group project, whole group, brainstorming ideas, dragging out sticky notes. You want to be inside of Lucid Spark. Students can drag out sticky notes. They can add hearts. They can add smiles. They can add all of that fun stuff. Okay, next we have those discussion parking lots. Anytime you're having a lecture or a class and you want students to be able to kind of add questions throughout the class without interrupting the teacher, you can use a discussion board, a parking lot. So this is one of our templates. You can embed this into a Canvas page or share out the share link to students. And then throughout the lecture, you can have this up on a screen. Students have access. So if they want to add on to the discussion, they can add a sticky note right in here and you can see that and other students can see that. And if they have a question, they can add their questions to the board. And then that way, rather than having them interrupt during class time, you can kind of keep your eye on this parking lot and answer those questions as time comes available. Or it's a great way, we all know as instructors, we don't always have time to answer all of the questions in class. So this is also great. You can look at it, answer the questions on the board, send out a follow-up post in Canvas saying, hey, I didn't get to all the questions today, but go ahead and look at the board. And I answered all of the questions that were on the board for today. So just a great way to monitor, track, and answer questions throughout lectures or class time. The next example is coming from actually somebody who works for Lucid and also teaches at BYU, Idaho. And what he uses Lucid for, he teaches a teaming course where he is getting students used to teaming with other individuals in order to complete projects. So all of the things you have to do in the actual corporate space related to interfacing with other people. So what he likes to use are the breakout boards inside of Lucid Spark. He will create and add a new breakout board. So each student will get each group will get their own breakout. He goes into each of the breakout board sections and he gives them a guide of what he wants them discussing. So, for example, he might pull out one container and he'll label it, what do you think this business is doing wrong? And then he provides them this container to pull out all of the different items related to that. Then he'll add a second container, drag that onto the canvas, or just copy and paste, and he'll add a second question. How can this business improve? And then students come in here, they're dragging their sticky notes out into each separate category, and they're all having the same discussion, but in a separate, different workspace. And the cool thing is, if they're all using the same template, once you put the template onto one board, you can click the three dots, come down to make a copy multiple times, and then you can choose, I'm going to have 4 or 5 different groups. So I need 5 breakout board copies. And now I have multiple breakout boards with the same template inside of it. So I can take a larger discussion, break them up into smaller groups, providing them with a whiteboard to talk, discuss, write down all of their thinking. And then we can come back larger in the large group and have a larger discussion pulling from the different discussions we had as a smaller group. And again, your breakout boards are over here on the left-hand side for anybody who is brand new. And then students would access these breakout boards clicking the exact same icon and then selecting the correct breakout board that they should go into. Next example, let me pop out of my breakout board. Oops, this next one is for any type of user and I actually think, yes, I'm accidentally in the wrong one because I'm like, it's the same thing, but I had the label different. Okay, so when we're talking about Kevin, we have customer and user analysis. So anytime we're trying to do those experience mapping, where are students, where is that customer, how do they enter the business, what is their experience, and then looking at what are some ways we can improve, what are some processes and flows that are breaking down. So really mapping out that experience. And we have a lot of templates where you can actually, as the professor or as the students, you can build this little customer or user map. Another example we have from a professor is using Lucid for SWOT analysis. So you're brainstorming all of those different strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then you have a discussion section where not only are you identifying each of these different elements, but then you can actually use these guiding questions to have the students take that initial thinking and then move forward with a stronger analysis. Okay, we already talked about that one. And then, of course, project management. A large part of the business world is managing projects. We have a ton of timelines where students can add different tasks onto a timeline and they can track them by completion. Are they in progress? Are they done? Who is assigned to it? What are those milestones? When should the project be completed? And it's teaching these basic team project planning skills that they're going to need when they get into their future careers. Okay, and then anybody working with Scrum methodology for project planning, we have a ton of templates that I will show you. And then if we come here, I accidentally was in the wrong presentation. So we also have the suppliers, input, process, output, and customers mapping. So if you're looking at all of the different manufacturing and how manufacturing, the word is escaping me right now, but mapping out that system, students can come in and they can create those flow charts based on this. Again, my brain is now working. Okay, that got us all caught up. So that was Lucid Spark. Those are some examples for Lucid Spark. And then moving into Lucid Chart, this is when we're going to start getting into some more robust diagramming. So you'll see here some examples before we get to hop in and have some fun in Lucid Chart for the business class are getting students their own experiencing mapping template that they can use to actually map out and track the experiences of users coming to a business's website, walking into their institution. So mapping out that whole experience in order to make a plan for improvement. Any type of business process modeling. There are so many different processes, workflows, flow charts. So Lucid Chart makes it really easy to divide each of those process and flow charts up by responsible parties, by the different sections of an organization, and then map out and see those in how they intersect within that process. And then anybody working on ERD, diagramming, visualizing your data systems, value stream mapping. We have a ton of extra template icons inside of Lucid Chart that allow you to pull out. You can pull out a truck and you can pull out supplier icons, icons that deliver specific visual meaning to help students. And then in the business world, visualizing these items and colors have meaning, making it faster to read these different diagrams. So teaching them, these are actual icons being used in industry, giving them that experience of mapping with the actual tools they will use in their future career. Okay, we already went over ERD diagramming and again, workflow diagrams. This example is when we're talking about concept maps in other fields, you might think of, we're going to make a concept map for the animal kingdom. But this one came from a professor where they created this template and they wanted the students to go through the customer services principles and they gave them the friendliness, cleanliness, and efficiency. Push this out as a template through Canvas. Each student got their own copy, and then the students were dragging out and filling in what are those different concepts that would be related to friendliness and which ones would be cleanliness and efficiency. So when we're thinking of concept mapping inside of business, just thinking about all of those different principles, all of the different things that you might be teaching, and how can we break those down into smaller, more bite-sized items for students to interact with. And then another cool thing we have inside of Lucid Chart is a way to visualize your data using our dynamic shapes. So you can show students how they can kind of map out if they're analyzing a business, its success, and they want to do it in a visual way. We have different pie charts and bar graphs, different things like that they can add directly to their analysis as they're looking through and analyzing a business that they might be working towards. And then last, graphic organizers. We love graphic organizers. This one is coming from a professor. They just pushed out this Venn diagram where students were going to compare and contrast ethical issues versus etiquette issues. And then where do those two intersect? So again, for this example, the instructor pushed it out. Each student got their own copy, and then they filled it in and turned it back into the instructor for grading in SpeedGrader. Now, these were just a couple ideas where hopefully you're starting to get some bells going off in your brain. And I have right here, I'm going to put it into the chat. I have kind of a little toolkit that pulls out a lot of the templates I have just shown you so that you can kind of save this link. It has the decision trees, it has business pillars, it has Gantt chart templates. So it has a lot of the templates and community posts and videos from the actual professors who shared this. So click on that link, save it somewhere, and then this will give you a ton of different resources to help you find those templates. Now, a second way to find all of these amazing templates is by going through Canvas. Now, I see that most of us have had some experience with using Lucid through Canvas. And remind me, if you're not a Canvas user, please let me know in the chat, and I will tell you how you are getting into your Lucid account. But the majority of us have been using Lucid through Canvas. And so once you're inside of Canvas and you go into any of your courses, this is where you and your students should see the handy dandy Lucid whiteboard icon from the navigation on the left-hand side. Yours is probably hiding at the bottom, and I have drug mine all the way up to the top. Now, the first time you click on it, it will, for those of you who are brand new, it will activate that license process for you the first time. All you have to do is click 3 times. You click sign up, then you click register, then you click continue. You've got a license, you're in, you're ready to go. Now, moving forward, when we're talking about, let's look and see some specific ways that I could use this, and let's start with some templates, get some inspiration. You can always click on the Lucid whiteboard icon from Canvas, click on the big blue Open Lucid button, and this will bring you to your Lucid dashboard. Now, you can also click on the star for your Chrome browser or whatever browser you might be using. You can bookmark this and you can come directly to Lucid next time. If you don't want to go through Canvas, just make sure you're always using the same email address that you connect to Canvas so you don't hit any paywalls. If it's asking you to pay, then you probably have activated a second account, and just make sure you're going through Canvas so you don't accidentally get stuck. Now, once you're in here, I'm going to focus on your templates in the bottom left-hand corner here. This is a great place, especially in your business courses, to find templates that are actually being used in industry that you can provide these learning experiences for your students. So like I mentioned, you can see here, if anybody is focusing on the agile methodology for project management, we have a ton of templates for scrums, retrospectives, stand-ups, roadmap, story mapping. So tons of different templates in here. You can open up, customize, and use any of these. And then going down the left-hand side, you'll notice we have brainstorming templates, process mapping templates, meeting templates, planning templates, any of that customer research, like we were talking about, where you had those user personas or experience mapping, teamwork. And then inside of teamwork, I was talking with a business instructor who really liked to use our org chart shapes for students when they were building, if they were in an entrepreneur class. And so at the beginning of the semester, they used an org chart to create an org chart for a business that they were researching. And then at the end of the class, they have a really large project where they're making their own business. And so as part of that, they develop an org chart showing all of the different people that would need to be on staff in order for that business to be successful. And then coming down, we also have our education section. So when you come to education and you select select the higher ed title at the top, this will give you a ton of examples of templates that are actually coming from real life professors in the classroom. So you'll notice here we have the business ethics Venn diagram is in here. We have navigating conflict in the business world or medical world. So tons of different templates that you can look through, explore. And again, when you click use, everything is customizable. Now, one other thing before I give a little walkthrough of Canvas for anybody who's brand new using it into Canvas is we also, you may have seen this if you've been in any of my other trainings, we also have a new higher ed use case repository. I'm going to go ahead and plop this into the chat as well. This gives you different examples coming from real life professors on these different topics. So for example, the College of Business, you can click right here and this will open up similar to the template example that I sent you, except these are all community posts coming from real examples from professors. So for example, if you click on this experiencing mapping example, all of these will have the name of the professor, where they teach, what they teach. It'll show you a template that they have provided us that they used, and then also a video from that actual professor explaining how they used it, how they put it together. So that way you don't have to just jump in without having a little bit of background knowledge of how that activity was actually used with students. And then here is specifically that College of Business link, just in case anybody wants to go straight into those examples. So you'll see here again, we've got UML diagramming, operational flow charts, SWOT analysis, org charts, vocabulary practice, writing quality assurance reports. So lots of different examples. And again, all of these are coming from actual professors. So that gives you all of the resources I have related to business. For the last 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and show you, since we did have some people who are brand new, how can you get in and now attach some of these activities into Canvas. So for example, let's say I wanted to use that org chart example. So I came in here, I was reading how this professor utilizes this in their class. I click on the template, or I grab a template from the template library, whatever your method is. Oops, this one just gives examples, and I want, which one do I want? It looks like this one just talks about org charts. Of course, the one example I go into, so I'm going to go in and find an org chart template under teamwork. And I just want a basic, simple org chart. I don't need pictures because I'm using it for my entrepreneur class. So these are going to be positions that have not yet been filled in my future job. And then I can even update these. I don't really want to give them any starting point. I want them to kind of take this and go from scratch. I can name it in the upper left-hand corner. This is going to be business org setup activity. So now I have a template. I've named it. My next step is to go into Canvas because I want to send this out for each student to get their own copy embedded right there on the Canvas page. So I'm going to go into modules and add an assignment or go through assignments. However your workflow to open up a brand new assignment page works. I'm going to name it. So this is going to be your org chart. Let's say build your own org chart. And now from here, you can add additional instructions in the rich content editor. And then you scroll down to submission type. And this is the step where some people get lost. A lot of people are used to external tool and they click find. Lucid is actually part of Canvas with the Lucid experience. So you actually, from the drop-down menu, select Lucid. This will then bring up a handy dandy Lucid button. You'll click on this button and it will bring up your Lucid dashboard, allowing you to find and pick and attach your template. So I'm going to click Lucid chart, next. My documents, next, and then find and pick the template that I just created. Okay, so there's my business outline, select. And now once you finish and save and publish, each student will get their own copy of this template right here embedded on their assignment page inside of Canvas. Theirs will look just like yours. The big difference is they'll have a big blue submit button in the upper right-hand corner. And when they click that, you in SpeedGrader will get a frozen PDF of their work as well as a live link to their actual Lucid document in case you need to get in and look at it more carefully. So that was the first way to push it out through Canvas. The second way is that collaborative way. Let's say you want to host that discussion. Maybe I'm going to ask, what do you think makes a business successful? A nice open-ended discussion question to really get the group warmed up. So I'm going to call this discussion for 1014. And then this is the difference. For a collaborative experience, you click the black L. The black L is for collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. If you don't see the black L, then just select the black plug and look for embed Lucid document. It is the same thing. Now, this is similar to the assignments where it pulls up your dashboard. You can find a collaborative board you've already created and attach it. But keep in mind, if I pick this brainstorming template, we're all in this exact one, editing this exact one. It does not template when we're doing the collaborative example. Or you can click the plus new button, come down to Lucid Spark, and add a blank board on the fly. You want to choose your edit permissions so everybody can get in and collaborate. And then I usually save, but wait to publish until I'm ready for students to be able to get in there and get started. And then one tip, this is also in submissions. There's a full screen mode in the bottom right-hand corner, and there's an open in a new tab if you prefer. So all of it will reflect into Canvas, but you can drag out a text box. What do you think makes a business successful? You can lock down your question because we don't want people messing with it. And now once you publish in Canvas, students will get into this activity embedded on the Canvas page. They can go full screen. And when your students are dragging out sticky notes, when you're dragging out sticky notes, everyone will see what everyone is doing in real time. And then a callback to my breakout boards. If you wanted to then jump into small group breakouts, you do have the breakout board icon right here on the left-hand side. All right, so that was a quick, hopefully, inspiration, giving you lots of ideas. Now, if you're brand new to Lucid and you're like, okay, that was great, I'm feeling inspired, but how do I logistically get started and remember how to do this? We also have our asynchronous Lucid in Canvas course. And so I will attach this. This will give you everything you need to know, starting from scratch, just getting ready. Just click on the modules on the left-hand side of this Lucid in Canvas course, and this will give you everything that you need to know to get started. So questions, comments, concerns, we've got lots of links in the chat, so feel free to pop in there, copy and paste those. But any questions before we say adieu? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. Oh, perfect. If we use the collaborative discussion feature on the Canvas page, is there any possibility that it could be integrated with SpeedGrader for grading in the future? In the future, yes, we have this as something we would love. No idea if that will ever become reality, but I feel ya. I would love for that to be a thing. We do have a community post, though. You might have already found it, where it gives you some tips and tricks for grading collaborative activities a little bit faster. So let me see. I'll post that in here. See who not owns, adding, participate. This is it. Okay, perfect. So this just gives you a couple tips. There's a couple different options of slightly faster ways to grade collaborative work since it does not pull automatically into SpeedGrader. If you want to grade those collaborations, there are a couple different options pointed out in this article. A great question, and I will definitely continue to hopefully ask, and maybe one day we will receive those collaborations getting pulled into SpeedGrader. Okay, any other questions? That was great. Okay, perfect. I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. So thank you so much for coming. And here, last but not least, is my email. I am always happy to help. Email me anytime. Okay, with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday and a lovely Halloween. Bye, everyone.